pressing them.
With the first pick in the NFL draft.
Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag Draft Show. It is that time of year, Adam. The football season is at an end. It's draft season.
We are back.
Yes.
The chaos can reign again as we look at the draft.
One of my favourite shows, one of my favourite seasons to do. It's almost like the season starts for me now, really.
It's kind of become that. It's we've got it slightly around the wrong way, I feel, but it's how it goes. We just don't want it to end, so we've just created this little bit.
During the season, you watch the games, you talk about the games, but to do this show, you really put the time and effort into researching and watching and trying to give. So the proper work, I feel, starts now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is a bit like that. I mean, obviously, you've got like the whole draft process, which really starts from to be honest, I was going to say it starts from once the college season is over, but it doesn't really. It sort of starts from once the college regular season is over, I suppose, and sort of before the playoffs. And you get a lot of these guys that aren't on teams that are necessarily in the playoffs. So it's so you get that, and then it just runs through, doesn't it, until the end of April. So it's we just like to extend the season. That's all it is.
Well, we thought we'd kick off the season with a mock draft. It's very early. We pretty much know all the players that have either returned or declared now. That's kind of been done. We've had the Shrine Bowl and the Senior Bowl. That's all been played. So we're in a good position, I think, to do a mock draft and kind of get some of those names out there and start talking about them. It's really interesting. Every year I always do my first mock draft. I usually do it prior to the Senior Bowl. I think I did this year as well. I think I did it prior to the Senior Bowl. I sent it to you. And then the change, I just like to have a look at that one and then my mock draft 3 or whatever it is before we do the actual draft and just see how many names dropped off, who rose, who fell, because it gets a bit wild after a bit of time during this. We've got the combine still to come. We were going to do the mock draft today, and then we will continue with our top 10. So first up, we'll have the quarterbacks. That'll be coming out very, very soon. And then we'll do the rest of the positions as well. But yeah, as I said, mock draft 1.0. Let's bring it up, have a little look. And let's start getting familiar with some names. So first up is the Raiders. I think there has been a lot of chat. Now, I've seen a lot about this, Adam. Are people saying, should they stick and pick and take Mendoza? Or should they trade this pick away to someone like the Jets, get a bit of a haul and rebuild properly? They've said, absolutely not. It's Mendoza and nothing else. Don't even bother. Because I think the Jets have inquired as well, haven't they? So what's your thoughts on this? Should they go next year at a quarterback and get better players this year and just roll again with Geno Smith, who is a capable quarterback?
Yeah, it is a difficult one. I think that it's certainly a conversation and one to have. I feel like from what we feel of this quarterback class going forward, it feels very much like Mendoza is the guy and the one who actually could be a starter and could potentially be a starter for a long time in this league. Once you get past that, it feels like there's a big drop off. So it is very much a case of you either take him or you probably punt the whole quarterback position, either to someone that you take in free agency. Like you say, you could keep Geno Smith for another year and then you could go for it again next year. I do feel, though, if you do that you are basically, I wouldn't say throwing this year 2026 away, but it does kind of feel a little bit like that. If you're going to do that, it's going to be very, very difficult to be able to suddenly become a better team with Geno Smith, considering he played pretty much the whole season and look where they are. They've got the first round pick. So it's not a case of like that I think that Geno Smith is suddenly going to become great. They could go out and get themselves a free agent quarterback. There is a few of them around, not loads, but there are a few that you could have as a bridge quarterback for another year. They've got plenty of cap space to be able to do that, so there's no reason why they can't. But I think it does feel like Mendoza has the potential to be a starter and has the potential to be in the league for a long time, and we've seen that he's a very good, or during his time at Indiana, he was a very good quarterback. So it feels like taking him is the right move, and probably the move that most people would make. The only thing I would say is this Raiders team has a lot of holes in it.
Yeah.
And so because of that, putting Mendoza in does not mean that they're suddenly going to be amazing next year. But it does mean that you've probably got a vital piece that you can use for years to come.
Just thinking, if it was the Jets that came calling, would you think that getting the Jets second overall pick and their pick 16, do you think that's what they'd get in that deal?
Personally, if I was the Raiders, I would probably be looking to maybe get another first round pick for next year and think of this as a long-term project. I think that's how they have to look at it. They can't look at it as though they're going to, if you get 2 first round picks this year, it's suddenly all going to be great. It does feel like next year there's a very strong quarterback class is what is projected. And so if you were to have 2 first round picks, it does mean that, chances are you would probably have another poor season. You would be in prime position to be able to take a really good quarterback, or you would be in prime position to trade up for a really good quarterback. So I think if you are going to trade it, you don't trade it for this year. You maybe think of it as like we'll use it as insurance for next year to get the guy that we really, really want and we think is going to be amazing for us for like 10 plus years. But I think they're the 2 options that they have. There are other teams that they could look at. I mean, the Cardinals, they need a quarterback. Kyler Murray will not be there next year. The Rams are a team that there's been conversations about. It is a long way to go, so I doubt it will happen, but they are a team, even if Stafford stays for 1 more year, possibly you could go for another one. Miami are at pick 11. If they decide not to go down the free agent route, that's another one that you could look at. So there are a few teams that need a quarterback, but I would be surprised if they didn't just go for Mendoza, given what he did for Indiana.
Yeah, I think they're sticking and picking. It's one of them as well, where if you did trade the pick away and he turned out to be a superstar, you'd be kicking yourself and everyone would be fired. So I think stick, pick, take the player. I think that's a no-brainer for them. Yeah. If it wants to pick him. There we go. He's in. So the next pick is, we've just mentioned it, is the New York Jets. Again, another team with a lot of holes. I think they're going to struggle again next year. But one big thing for me for them was how bad their defense was last year. No takeaway, no interceptions, really struggled to get pressure. The offense is, it's not great. It's got Garrett Wilson and potentially Breece Hall if he's around next year. We don't know what's going on with him. But I think they have to take on the defensive side of the ball with this pick, with how strong the defensive players are in this draft. Now, there's 2 names. You can see them right there on the board. It's Arvell Reese and Ruben Bain. So you've got pure edge rusher, a machine, big guy up front, or the hybrid linebacker edge rusher who's been an absolute superstar at Ohio State this year, who were the #1 defense of the year, and he was the kind of leader of that. I think you get more options. I've never been keen on taking a hybrid, but I just think for the Jets, they've got lots of holes and he could fill various areas. So I would go Arvell Reese here. Would you go Reese or Bain? What's your thoughts?
So I think that both of them, they've had amazing college careers and they look really, really good. The reason that I would actually agree with you and go for Arbel Reese here is that I kind of feel like not that I feel like the Jets edge rushers they've got Will McDonald, they've got Jermaine Johnson. They're not the worst in the world. I feel like when it comes to the Jets D line, that possibly it's the sort of like the inside defensive line is where there needs to be a little bit more improvement, not necessarily at edge. Then when you look at the likes of the linebackers, I think Quincy Williams is going to be a free agent this year. So there is, and obviously they traded away Quinn and Williams, so he's not exactly happy anyway that happened. But it does kind of feel like the linebacker position is probably a slightly more vital need than defensive end. Like I say, I think they've both been great. They've both had really good seasons in college, and they both look like they've got the potential to be around for a very long time. So yeah, I'd be happy with either, but it feels like Reese is the slightly more logical position to go for.
Yeah, that's the one I'm locking in for this pick. So next up, it's running a bit slow. Next up, we've got the Cardinals. Once the pick goes through, Adam. Again, I think they're another team that has big holes on the defense and aging players on the defense. And I think edge rusher with Bain still on the board, not being taken at 2, it'd be a no-brainer not to go edge rusher here for them. Look, we're having the 1 sec. See if the pick is not one to go through. But I think Cardinals take Bain here with the pick, getting an edge rush for the future. It's one of those positions. There's not a quarterback here for them to take. I think Jacoby Brissett actually did quite well for them as patchwork. So taking that would be a good idea for me.
Yeah, I think that when you look at it now, when you actually look at the players that are there. I mean, obviously, there are some that are very good players, but it kind of feels to me that Ruben Bain is kind of like quite a high up sort of quality and has some real potential to be around for a very long time. The Cardinals have currently got Calais Campbell, who I believe is going to be a free agent. So whether he comes back or not, at the same time, if he comes back, then it's a great person to have to help him learn and to guide him into his rookie year as well. So I think that he'll be very good for that. Obviously, they've got Josh Sweat as well, but he's kind of more of a linebacker sort of guy. But yeah, so I think that Ruben Bain, to a certain degree, I feel like there are certain spots where it's like best player available. Some of these players are really, really good, but when it comes to the edge position, I do really think that Ruben Bain is probably the guy that you want to be looking at. The only other position that I would come out and say is I do think that they need some help on the O-line. I think that guard or tackle is certainly a place where they've sort of struggled to be able to do anything. However, I don't really like the idea of taking any of them this high up. So yeah, I think Ruben Bain's a good shout. There's no quarterback, so they're going to need a quarterback. Kyler Murray won't be there because the way his contract is. So yeah, I mean, it just feels like Bain is the way forward.
Yeah, definitely. He's an absolute monster as well. So I think you'd be silly not to take that. It's one of the key positions, isn't it? When we talk about what you need, it's quarterback, left tackle, edge rusher. They're the 3 that you need to go for, and they haven't got one of them. So that's where I'm going with it. Next up, Adam, is the Tennessee Titans. Now, I believe that they need to this year give Cam Ward the best chance at showcasing what he can do. I think he played fine last year, no issues at all. He didn't really light up the world. He didn't really do anything bad. He was just, playing ball and enjoying himself like we saw when he was at college. I do think they've got some really nice pieces at wide receiver. I think Ioma Noor and DK both played well, but they're not wide receiver ones for me. And Calvin Ridley was a non-factor. I think they could take a punt here and take one of the wide receivers and really go and really give Cam Ward a chance at having that number one status that he came with last year. I think they could take Tyson here at wide receiver. I wouldn't be opposed for them taking Carnell Tate as well, but I think Jordan Tyson is the guy. I think although he's had his injury worries, he has the ability to be a wide receiver one star, whereas I think Carnell Tate is it's more of a chain mover, sort of, you know, like an Egbuka sort of player that we saw last year from the same school. Egbuka sort of JSN style. I know JSN's now wide receiver one, but that style sort of mid-area, Amon-Ra St. Brown sort of guy. Whereas I think Tyson could be a standout pure wide receiver alpha for them. So could take either of them, whichever one performs the best going into the season. But I'm going to take Tyson here to start with. How do you feel about this, them going wide receiver?
So I can understand where you're coming from. I think, like you say, it's about giving Cam Ward as much as possible to help his development. It's going to be a very young wide receiver core if you do that. Obviously, with Tyson being the rookie and Iamana and DK as they're going into their second year. I think the O-line has been okay, but not fantastic. I believe Lloyd Cushenberry and Kevin Zietler are both going to be free agents. So I feel like O-line is something that needs to happen. But we kind of feel quite confident that the O-line class isn't too bad, don't we, this year?
Yeah. There's some studs on the O-line. I think there's easily three of the guys definitely that are top 10 picks on the O-line for tackle. But I think that, they took JC Latham and they've got Dan Moore. So I'm not sure whether they're struggling at tackle here.
But it's kind of more guard and centre, I think. Is what we're
which I think
at.
You don't go this high. One of those guys, and you can get really good value in the second round at that position. Okay. So I'm not sure that's really an area of desperate need for them. And they have got Skoronski as well, which we're all a big fan of on the left side as well. So that's why I steered away from the O-line. I thought that their defense has been decent. I just feel like they've got to help him. They've got to do something. And I just feel like wide receiver is the easiest way to help him.
I hear what you're saying, and I think you're right that it's probably I don't think it's necessarily what they're going to do myself. That they do have some guys that they're going to be missing that are free. They've got a lot of money, I might add, as well, going cap space. It does feel like this is a team that could go out and spend big on a wide receiver if they didn't want to go down this route and they wanted like a veteran wide receiver.
But the veteran wide receivers that you can buy aren't great this year, are they? I think you have to hit the draft this year. If you want to make a change at wide receiver, it's got to be draft this year, not free agency.
True, and I think it does probably need to be in the first round as well.
And the money that you have to overpay for a veteran in free agency would be mental, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just think, given the fact that you've got Robert Saleh there now, I think there might be a slightly more pushing emphasis on the defense. Sebastian Joseph Day is an unrestricted free agent at defensive end. Cody Barton's a free agent coming up. So Xavier Woods. There's quite a few guys there that are there, and I really like David Bailey. I think he's going to be really good for someone, and I do think edge is the way forward. However, I can understand where you're coming from with wide receiver, and Tyson. I think the one concern with Tyson is the injury history. That's the one problem with him. I think when he's been fit, he's been great, and if he didn't have the injury problems, he would be a wide receiver one by a mile. But because of the injury history, there is a bit of trepidation in that. But yeah, I mean, if you want to go wide receiver, I completely get it.
The only other way they could get, route they could go is every year I label someone a unicorn. My unicorn of the draft this year is Caleb Downs.
Yeah.
So there's the potential that defensive head coach might want
There's
that.
been quite a bit of talk, though, hasn't there, about Caleb Downs and the fact that he's not quite like he's going to drop a little bit more than what I think people thought, and that it's probably because he's a safety, and that's the
This happened with Kyle Hamilton as well, didn't it? He was my
unicorn, and he did drop, didn't he?
He dropped because of the position he plays, and then look what he's produced in the NFL. People should take the Dan Campbell mentality and be like, he's good. I know the value's not there for the position, but I want him, so I'm having them. And it's worked well for him when he picked Campbell and Gibbs, who was told, that you've overpicked them, and they've both been great. So there's potential there, but I'm gonna go with Tyson for him, and lock them in a wide receiver. The next pick is my New York Giants, who, if this does fall to me and it is an option, then I'll be over the moon. I don't know whether I've forced Tyson into the Titans pick, so I can say
I think most people have Tyson as the wide receiver one, don't they?
Yeah. Well, I think it's yes, but I think with the injuries, people will move Carnell Tate above him.
But what I'm trying to say is you haven't done it on purpose.
No.
Thing. It's like there is a kind of general consensus that he is considered the number one. So it's
So with that being said, I think the Giants' defense is it's got holes at cornerback, I think, still, and that's about it for me. I think it needs one really good cornerback to join the team. I think the front seven's really, really good, and I think we've got the quarterback, we've got the left tackle, we've got a running back, we have a star wide receiver, but Dart again, he's another guy that needs some help. I think Carnell Tate could be the option here. I know you're very much along the lines of, Andy, that O-line that you think's good is not great. So you're very much strengthen the trenches, and I'm more get him some help and on at wide receiver. Like I said, we've got our left tackle. So
look, I think Andrew Thomas has been great when he's been fit, and that's not been a problem. I really like Illuminor. I think he's had a brilliant NFL career, and if you can keep him, again, he is a free agent, but if you can keep him, then great. Your other starting O-line guys, the two guards and the centre, again, it's a case of, well, you've got John Runyon and you've got Van Roten, who are both free agents, and John Michael Schmitz just hasn't been fantastic. So I think that they're the sort of things that you need. But again, it's that same, it's basically what we've just said, isn't it, about the Titans? It's the same thing. Are you really going to take a guard or a centre this high? Do you feel you can get one of these guys in the second round? And it feels like you can. So I can look, I think your O-line needs improving, but I can understand why it would make so much more sense for you to go out and get a wide receiver to help Malik Neighbours. So you've got two really good wide receivers. And I know you've got Wan'Dale Robinson and Darius Slayton.
Robinson's a free agent and Slayton's a free agent. I think Slayton will go this year. He was expensive for us the previous year for what he's produced. I think we need to bring back Wan'Dale. I think that's a nice trio to have. Yeah. But there is a chance we might lose both of them depending on how it happens. Also, there's lots and lots and lots of speculation that Tyler Linderbaum's going to be a Giant next year. He's hitting free agency, and obviously he's got the connections with Harbaugh already. So there is that. Lots of people saying that's almost a certainty that's where he's going. I suppose he's going to have the pick, and he might want to go back and be with Harbaugh again. So the O-line can be strengthened that way. I know we've not got loads of money in free agency.
No, but you can adjust contracts of people quite easily and make yourself quite enough money in order to do something like that. So that's not a problem. So I think Carnell Tate makes loads of sense. And another Ohio State guy for the Ohio State / Giants fan up there.
Yeah, I mean it's nice for us to get an Ohio State player because they usually end up on a team And I'm like, oh, well, we could have had them. That would have been nice. Let's get all back up. So we're on to the Cleveland Browns, who also have many a hold. I mean, I think that offensively is where the holes are. The defense is pretty decent. For me, they've got no wide receivers on their team. The quarterback position is still up for debate there as well. But I think ultimately, when you watched them play last year and Shador came in and then was playing, and you saw people saying that he was being sabotaged and, he was never given a chance, and we can't see the proper Shador Sanders. And it was mainly there were stills put out there with the O-line literally just not blocking anyone. There was like one still where one of the O-linemen just stood in space near no one, and there's two defenders flying at him. So I think they have to address O-line, even if it's Shador, not Shador for the future, and they need to secure themselves O-line for the future for the next guy next year. And the number one guy still is on the board. So how would you like to pronounce it, Adam? Malgoa?
Malgoa.
Yeah. I go with Malgoa.
I go with Francis.
I think he's been an absolute stud and has been fantastic. And Miami, of what they've done this year, he's been standout for me. So I think that's the guy they need to go out and get.
Yeah, I think, look, we can safely say with the Browns, despite the fact that Jim Schwartz has gone as the defensive coordinator, that defense is a very, very strong defense and a very good defense. And anybody who comes in has got themselves a really good defense to coach. You don't really want to be going, or you don't feel like you need to use a first round pick on it this year. So it is very much about the offense. Quarterback, you could argue that they need, despite the fact that they have got Sanders and Gabriel and Watson, it will be back as well for that season. There just isn't anyone not to be taken at this point. So it does really become, what is there a wide receiver that we feel like is good enough in order to be taken here and that they're going to want to go for, because the wide receiver room is pretty limited? Or is it a case of going for the O-line and helping out in them spots? I mean, you can go guard, you can go tackle on this one, because, Jack Conklin is a free agent. Cam Robinson is getting up there in age. The center, Ethan Pocic, is also a free agent. There's a lot of these players either need to be re-signed or you need to get new guys in. And as you said, they weren't actually that great anyway. So it does kind of feel like new players is the way forward. I think Malgoa is probably the logical one to go for. Yeah,
definitely. They need to, like I say, they need it now for whoever the successor is at quarterback next year, if it's next year. So
yeah,
you need to protect them. So you haven't got to do a double whammy next year. Next up is the Commanders. Now the Commanders, we did the preview show before the season started, and I said I was really worried about this team. I was worried about the age of them. I was worried about the future of them. And everyone else was very much, no. They're just, they brought in some older pieces to really push for the Super Bowl. I was like, no, I'm not having that. And then the season's happened and we've seen what's happened. And I think they're in a bad way for next year now for the upcoming season. I think, a lot of their offensive players are really, really old. A lot of their defensive players are really old. And I think they're missing people in big positions. So at this point, I'm taking the unicorn, and I think Downs goes here. I think they need help at safety, and he's not just a safety, is he? He can come down and play up with the front seven. He can drop down into coverage. He drop back into coverage as well. So he covers a lot of areas, an area that they don't have anyone. I think they're fine at cornerback. I think, they've got players there. They've got Mikey Sainer still. They've got Lattimore, and they've got Trey Amos, who you were a big fan, who did well this year. So I think that could be an area that they might want to address. I know you probably might be on the David Bailey for this one. I'm not really, as you're a big fan of him, but I think safety is an area that they're going to need some help as well.
Yeah, it is a difficult one. I feel like that there isn't really anyone on the offense that you are going to want to bring in at this point. So I do feel like the defense it is a the right move. Their defense is it's odd because on paper it looks like a very good defense. There's a lot of really big names on it, and they all look like they're going to be great. And that's what kind of makes it hard because you don't really know if the drop off has already happened or whether they're going to be able to come back and do anything next year. So it is an awkward one, but I do feel like the defense is the way forward. I actually don't mind it. I don't mind the idea of having Caleb Downs there. I think that realistically with Caleb Downs, he probably is in the top 2 or 3 players. I think for talent, the reason that he drops as far as he does is because of the position. But yeah, I mean, I would be happy with David Bailey here as a edge rusher. I think it'd be really good. I'd be happy with Caleb Downs here. I think it'd be great for someone. I think he could learn so much with some of these pros that are here as well, and would really be able to help him out.
It's just so versatile. I think it just covers
I know,
a lot of bases.
I know it's very early, but I would not be upset with having Sonny Styles. I think he's very good, and from what I've seen, I think he's really got potential to do something. Like I say, I think any of them guys would be great, and it really is a matter of what the Commanders feel the guy they like the most is probably what I'd say. They're almost in that position where it is, if these 3 guys are still there, it is best player available and who they like. So any of them would be fine with me. But yeah, I'm Caleb Downs is fine.
Good, he's locked in. We've got the Saints next, and for me, looking through their roster, bar Chase Young, who I think had a good year, I can't see any players on their team that are really standout edge rushers. You've got a lot of sort of linebacker talent that plays edge rusher. You've got Brian Breesy listed as an edge rusher who I think is an interior player. So I think that Cam Jordan, obviously getting older. I think we said that last year.
Yeah.
So now is the time to get your guy, David Bailey, off of the board and into the NFL. So I think this is a no-brainer for them to go David Bailey here.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. They do need one, as we've said with Cam Jordan. It kind of feels like they're almost making him stick around just because they can't find his successor at the moment. So yeah, David Bailey, I think, great edge rusher out of Texas Tech and should do really well for them. I do think they need a wide receiver. I think that at this point you can start thinking about Mekhi Lemon. I think that is allowed to be in the conversation, but it's kind of about. But I think Bailey is more of a top talent than what Lemon is.
Then they've got Chris Olave.
I think you need more than Chris Olave.
No, they proved last year they don't. They just but
they ended up they've got the 8th pick in the draft, so maybe they did need someone more than that.
I can see some really, really good. Now I know you've not liked them in the past. I can see some really good GMing coming on here. I can see them. They've traded Shaheed away, and he's now going to the Super Bowl. He becomes a free agent at the end of the year. So they did they get a 4th pick for him?
3rd, I think.
They got 3rd for him. So they got a 3rd round pick for him. He went, and then I think he becomes a free agent, and then they just get him back. So they get a 3rd round pick and the player back. I think he comes back next year.
He could. It's completely possible. They might go down that route. I don't know what I mean, as we always say, look, you can manage the cap and all that sort of thing. But they are still in a horrific spot with the cap, and so they're going to have to restructure loads of people.
He won't be expensive either.
No, he won't be too much. So I think Bailey's the way forward anyway.
We're not used to saying this often. Top 10 pick. The next pick is the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
We know the Kansas City Chiefs next year are probably not going to be starting the season. Well, they're not going to be starting the season with Pat Mahomes at quarterback. And it's going to be a bit of an odd year. I can't see them having an expectation because I think he's going to be out till at least sort of week 9, 10, isn't he? Something like that.
I don't know. I haven't really read anything about it recently, but you know, you never know. He might come back a bit sooner. But he's going to miss the beginning. I think that's
he's going to miss
fairly
the
obvious.
beginning, and that could be, you know, too many losses by then, and not worth rushing him back and him getting injured. He's not worth rushing him back. He's your whole franchise, isn't he? Yeah. And they have the opportunity here to address something that last year was beyond like it was so bad. Pacheco's a free agent. Hunt's a free agent. Rashard Smith is not a RB1. He's a nice little piece. And they had no run game whatsoever. And it is a big part of their game going forward. And I think they can have the luxury pick here of taking Love. I think they will do it as well. I know this might be a bit early for a running back, but I think why not this year take the running back for 5 years, rookie running back, get Mahomes back. They've got a nice young wide receiving core now, so take Love.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. There isn't. I mean, when you look at who else there is around, it kind of feels like they could go for a wide receiver. I mean, they've got Rashee Rice there. They've got Xavier Worthy there. So why would you want to go down that route, really? I don't really feel like corner is a massive issue for them. Again, edge, I think as long as Chris Jones sticks around, then they'll be okay. It feels like the Love being there and them sort of like ending up where they've ended up has kind of been the match made in heaven, really. And it was just such an obvious problem for them. And it was something that we all came out and said before the season started, and they just never really addressed it properly. And they just kind of, I think they were just hoping Pacheco would come back fit, and they were hoping that Hunt could somehow just keep going. And it didn't really work out for them. So yeah, I think Love, I don't think it's necessarily too early for him. I know he's a running back, but I don't think it's that too early for him. He's shown, hasn't he, in college how good he is. So yeah, I think it's a good shout.
After him as well.
What's next?
The drop off is insane. So he's going to be the only first round running back.
Yeah.
And he's the only blue chip running back. So if they do want to address it, you've got to, because
they've got
to have him now. So the next pick at pick 10 is the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals, again, defense was an issue.
Well, it got better towards the end of the season, didn't it?
It did improve.
It felt like Al Green was there, wasn't it? Was it Al Green? Was that his name? Have I got that wrong? What was his name? The defensive coordinator is there. I can't remember now.
Should we find out for you?
Before I accuse him of being a 60s R&B singer.
Cincinnati Bengals, because I want to get them up anyway, because I wanted to be talking about their depth chart as well. But they had Al Golden.
Al Golden. I knew it was an Al. There we go.
Al is there. So yeah, I still think the defense is an issue. I think they addressed, obviously, with Shamar Stewart, who obviously I wasn't a big fan of anyway, but they brought him in. Trey Hendrickson is still technically on their roster for next year, but I think that the interior probably needs a bit of help. And there's a guy who I feel is one of the best talents, again, talent-wise, is a top 10 talent in this draft. So I think that they should take Woods at this point. How do you feel about that, Adam? Do you think I've gone crazy in taking Woods? I think this is an area they need.
Yeah, I think it's definitely. Look, I mean, the defense did improve, but I think you can come out and say that the defense needs help all over it, to be brutally honest. They got TJ Slayton, who's a defensive tackle, who's going to be a free agent, so they need to deal with that. I don't think they are particularly great for cap space, I have to say. So I think that no, they're not too bad. They got quite a bit of money actually, so they're not too bad for that. But yeah, I mean, the only other thing again is the O line. The O line could probably do with some help, to be brutally honest, because it's at the end of the day, what is most important is keeping Joe Burrow upright. So obviously you've got.
But again, they addressed that last year, didn't they? They brought Amaris Mims in, didn't they?
Well, yeah, they did, and then he got broken again. So it's, I mean,
Orlando Brown, they are there.
Yeah, so they have brought in some players, and it hasn't been too. It kind of feels like it's improved a bit, but I think really what we're looking at here is we're looking at the best O line or the best D line guy. That's kind of what we're looking at. And when you look at who's on the board and who's left, it feels like Peter Woods is the best D line guy that's available. So it kind of makes sense to go for him.
Yeah, as I said, not only is he the best D line, I think he's one of the best talents in the draft as well. I think.
I think he's just dropped because Clemson had a bad year.
They had a bad year. Yeah, I think all of their players who are really talented, we'll probably talk about one of them again later, are really being dropped down boards just for last season. But if you go back and watch them in 2024, when they got to the playoffs, these players were phenomenal. I think the talent is there, so don't punish them for a bad season for Clemson. Yeah. Next up, we have got the Miami Dolphins, another team that has a lot of areas to fill, but I think that their main area is cornerback. For me, I don't think they've got anything at cornerback anymore, have they?
No, well, we said this, didn't we? Like when we were looking when we were previewing the season, and they literally had nothing at corner. It kind of felt like everything else was fine, but at corner they were really struggling. I would say I think Tyreek Hill is likely to go. So if that is the case, then a wide receiver, you've got Mekhi Lemon there, which makes a lot of sense.
They've got Waddle, and Washington was really good.
Yeah, but the problem is you need more than that, don't you? So
I mean, it's like two really talented guys.
Yeah, but you need more than that.
So I'm guessing Rasul Douglas is going to be a free agent. Only on 1 year. So outside of that, it's this is the name that you brought up. It's Storm Duck is their next household name cornerback. Now there's going to be some debate here on cornerbacks because for me, talent-wise, I think Jerome McCoy is the best cornerback, although he has had a bad injury. So Delaney's sort of moved higher than him and sort of being projected as a better talent to pick. But if McCoy is fit and good to play, I think McCoy is the better cornerback. Adam, I'm guessing you've already done have you done the cornerbacks yet?
I have not done the cornerbacks yet. However, I think that the one thing that we need to remember here is that I do think that Miami are going to try and get bigger. I think now that you've got the Packers, you've got John Paul Sullivan's gone in as GM, you've got Jeff Hafley gone in as head coach. There is kind of this sort of feeling that that's what's going to happen, and that's kind of a mantra that they live by. So I think it is going to be about getting bigger guys in there. I don't really feel like either of these corners. I mean, they're kind of like they're hovering around 6 foot, and they're kind of similar. So I don't necessarily know if that will put them off at all. But there isn't really a corner that's any better, to be brutally honest. So you sort of feel like if you want to go down that route, you're going to have to. Like I said,
I think there is a drop off. I think there is 3. I think I've got 3.
Yeah, there's 3 corners, isn't there?
That have got a first round grade on them.
Yeah.
You see them all on the screen there. But I do think McCoy and Delaney they're a better caliber than Terrell. So if you said to me, I'm not sure if you're thinking on McCoy, then I would be happy to put either one of them in. I just have McCoy as the better one on talent alone without looking at the injury.
Well, then we'll have McCoy then.
In he goes. So the next pick is the Dallas Cowboys. They let their edge rusher go last year. It was noticeable that the interior improved, but the pressure on the outside wasn't there. So I think it's a no-brainer. They got the picks for Parsons, so they need to replace him in this draft. I think they do it now. I think they take edge rusher at this pick over corner. And this is going to be controversial of who the name that I've got for them.
Oh, it might not be. It might not be because, right, before you say this, I completely agree with the position. And there is one specific guy that I think is the way forward. Who have you picked?
Well, it was my number one guy going into the year.
I don't know who that is.
Wow. It was my number one guy going into the year. But there was Bain obviously stepped up and was loads better. And Bailey, obviously, you can't shadow what he did this year. So talent-wise, I think the talent is still there with him. And it's TJ Parker for me. It's fault for you, isn't it?
No. Really?
Yeah, TJ Parker. I'm never wrong about this, Adam. If there's one thing I'm never wrong about, it's the edge rushers, isn't it? How many years on the bounce now have I been right about the order of the edge rushers and people pushing talent down for traits and things like that? I think you can't shy away from how good Parker is as an edge rusher, and I think TJ Parker for me is better than Falk. Are you banging in Mesidor here already? What
No. I had Keldrick Falk. I feel like Falk is the type that they would want. He's bigger, he's stronger. His speed obviously isn't necessarily the same, but he's not slow. He's still quick for his size, and I think part of the whole moving away from Parsons isn't small, but it's just, I think they just want to get bigger. And I felt like Falk was the one that made sense then.
I think Falk is brilliant. I'm not going to shy away from that. You know, there's a lot of edge rushers in here that with some talent. The top 10, I could happily have the whole top 10 go in the first round. So that's where we're at with the edge rushers. I'm not precious on this. I would like to remember this conversation when we get to the NFL and the players are there, because we had this old issue with James Pierce, and I think James Pierce was the best edge rusher of all the guys, that even including the number one guy that we had, who Abdul Carter. So I'm happy to put Falcon at no.
You've done it. You put your guy in. Go on, put Parker in. Don't you?
In he goes. The next pick is the Rams. I don't know why I went to quarterback. The Rams. I feel, they've had a great year. They've got an issue at cornerback that was obviously apparently clear all of this season. But they've got areas on the O-line that are more important to address. They can address cornerback later. They've got a pick later in the draft. There's a guy on the board that shouldn't still be here. In my eyes, he's good enough to be in the top 10 as a pick, and that's Spencer Fano. So I think they take the tackle here for the future, and they take Fano here. Adam, do you think that's the right pick?
Yeah, I have no problem with it at all. I think it makes a lot of sense. Shelton is a free agent, I believe. So I know he's the centre, but it's still part of the O-line. And also, I think just generally, like, the O-line could do a bit of improvement. You've got Matt Stafford, who
Who
You
will
know,
probably play another year. Yeah. So
it feels like he's going to play another year. So you don't need
MVP.
to
Why
go.
would he give up
Yeah,
now?
yeah, exactly. So you don't need to go for quarterback, but also you need to make sure that he's upright because he's not exactly someone who's going to run away from the pressure. It feels like tackle or corner. I actually think tackle makes sense because I don't think they necessarily rate spending heavily on corners. So I just don't think they're going to do it. So yeah, tackle it makes a lot of sense. And Spencer Fano is kind of the next one, isn't he? Really, I mean, it kind of the tackle class for first round picks feels like at this point it would only be Fano. Like you wouldn't really be looking at anyone else at the moment.
Yeah, especially I think there's a lot of people that have got Fano as their tackle one. I think there's a lot of people that have him above Magawa. So I think Fano is a no-brainer here for them.
Yeah, yeah.
The next pick is the Ravens, and I didn't think I'd be saying this either. The disappointing area for the Ravens this year was their defense. It really, really struggled. It hasn't been the same since they let a lot of names go on that front seven a couple of years back. And I think they need to start replacing those guys. And there is a guy there that you'd be very happy if you're the GM, because Falk's still there. And I think edge rusher is a no-brainer for them in terms of replacement. So I would take Falk here. Are you thinking edge rusher for them, or do you think they have other areas of need?
I think look, I mean, it depends how things are going to happen. It's really difficult to know with the Ravens because obviously John Harbaugh's been there forever, and now that he's not, you're not quite sure how things are going to go. It does feel like Jesse Minter will continue things like roughly the same way, and that the defense is what will be prioritized. I feel like wide receiver is an issue. You know, you've got Zay Flowers and Bateman and not a lot else, to be honest. I mean, there's bits around, but nothing significant. The O-line has got some potential concerns, especially if, as we believe is what's going to happen, Tyler Linderbaum will go. Ronnie Stanley is not getting any younger. So it feels like there is a little bit of that needs help a bit. But yeah, I mean, the defense, I think that you'll probably find that the defense makes a lot of sense. It's where it did struggle, certainly at the beginning. It improved, it got better, but it did really struggle at the beginning of the season. And so, yeah, I mean, an edge rusher is something that they do a lot. It kind of feels like there's not a great deal there. Not 100% sure what's going to happen with Madubuike. If he's going to be 100% fit, so you could argue like inside defensive line as well. But yeah, I mean, given who's there, I think that Caldrick Falk kind of makes a lot of sense, and I think they'd love someone of his size there as well.
Yeah, not want to talk about Mike Green. Was that not?
No, didn't really happen much, did it? It was all a bit of a disappointment, and kind of felt like he didn't really get loads of opportunities at the beginning, but even when he did, sort of in the middle of the season, it just never really happened. Like you say, the defense just in general.
I think the secondary is strong. Yeah, Marlon Humphreys, Nate Wiggins, Carl Hamilton, Malachi Starks. I don't think they need help there. I think it's up front they need the help.
Yeah. I feel like they lost Madubuike very early in the season, and it just kind of killed the whole thing. So,
Falk
but yeah, go for Falk.
Next up is there we go. It's moved along. The Buccaneers. The Buccaneers, again, is another one where I feel like the defense has started to get a bit old and a bit not as we remember it from their Super Bowl trip. So offensively, I think the O-line's good. They're going to be healthier next year. They're okay at running back, quarterback, and they are fine at wide receiver. I don't think. I think Evans will stay there. I think Ibuka's brilliant, and there's plenty of other pieces there, depth wise. You know, when they lost Godwin and Evans, they still had Johnson and Ibuka and various others that could fill in. So offense, they don't need anything. Defense, I think they need some help. You'll be very happy because I think it's Sonny Styles to be the guy that helps them.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, if you look at the offense, it's pretty strong actually, and it's quite even the O line is decent. They've got a few that they need to re-sign, but I think they can sort of do that, and that's not an issue. Yeah, the defense is a lot older than what you actually think it is, isn't it? It's you know, they've
just been restructuring contracts and bringing guys back,
yeah,
haven't they, quite a lot, so.
Yeah, they have been around for a little while, some of them, and they do need to sort that out. I feel like I don't know. I mean, even you could go corner instead of Styles, but I think you're probably right. I think the Styles is the one that you want to look at and the one that makes the most sense. And they went corner last year, didn't they? They had Jacob Parrish and Benjamin Morrison at corner for last year. So they've already invested in that. So it kind of feels like Styles makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, you were picking him sort of 5 or 6 picks ago.
So, I think he's definitely got the ability to be one that a team sort of decides to take a punt on just because he's the best player that's available. So yeah, I think he's got a good chance of being a top 10 pick. But yeah, the fact that he's managed to drop this far is great for him.
Next pick is the New York Jets. Now we've already addressed defense for them with the pick 2, and then we talked about the fact that on offense they didn't have anything outside of Garrett Wilson. We've mentioned this name a fair few times already, so I think it's time for him to come off the board. I think it's time for Makai Lemon to come off of the board. A guy that can sort of, if the ball is thrown in his direction, it's pretty much a catch. You know, anything that's in his area, he gets it. He's a really, really good talent. I think there's going to be a lot of people not see the full talent of him because they might sort of take some of his traits and be like, yeah, I'm not sure if he's a wide receiver 1, but looking at what's working in the NFL, I think his traits are perfect. And I think he can complement Garrett Wilson really, really well here.
Yeah, I agree that I think Makai Lemon is the right move. The only other thing is obviously they don't have a quarterback.
I can't see them addressing quarterback in this draft.
Not at all. You just don't think they'll go for it, or I mean,
I think they go after one of the free agents or someone who's out there. What's going on with Justin Fields?
He's not very good. So I mean, they basically put Brady Cook in instead of him because he wasn't very good.
He had a 2-year deal, didn't he?
Yeah.
So he's there.
Well, yeah, but that's like saying, the kit man's there. I mean, he ain't gonna suit up and play quarterback, is he? I mean, it's like...
I think maybe they take a punt, maybe on a Kyler Murray, something like that. Maybe that they'll try and patch it up. I don't think they'll draft, and especially not at this pick. I think wide receiver. Next year you're going to have a quarterback come in potentially that's going to have Garrett Wilson and Makai Lemon. So I think that sets them up nicely for next year as well. We said that before. Some teams might be looking to next year, not this year, for an instant success. So I think Lemon is the pick.
Yeah.
Next up is the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are noticeably this year, I feel like the O-line struggled. Now, it's getting older. It's not the O-line it was. And I think for that team to work, because they have Jared Goff at quarterback, it relies on having an elite O-line. So I think everything else in that team can wait. But unless they've got an elite O-line, they won't win anything. If they have, they will win. So I am taking O-line here, and I'm taking a guy that I was again, another guy that I was really, really high on. I think I've had him as one of my top prospects at O-line going into the year, and I think he played exceptionally well. Just the others outperformed him. I'm taking Caden Proctor here at tackle. Adam, do you think I'm right here with the direction for the Lions? Is it all about the O-line, or was that defense not good enough for you yet?
Well, the defense wasn't good enough, but I get your point. I understand what you're saying, and obviously the O-line does need to improve, because otherwise the offense will just falter under Goff. And also, it's not just Goff; it's the running game as well.
Yeah.
So
everything runs through that, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I do agree with that. And also, I mean, I was going to say edge. I know they've got Aiden Hutchinson, Marcus Davenport's a free agent. I just kind of feel like they need a number 2 edge, and they've got a lot of guys, but none of them are really great. So I do feel that edge is an area. But what I would say is that the edge class is very deep, as we were saying, and I think they would be able to get one in the second round. So for me, yeah, I think that Caden Proctor is the right guy as well.
I'm glad you agree with that, because I think a lot of people are out on him and they're moving Lomu and
I think again. So the reason that I think a lot of them are out when it comes to the O-line and Alabama is just the fact that they had no run game. It just completely fell apart, and it was largely because the O-line weren't working. But when you look at what's there, I mean, you could go Caleb Lumu. I suppose that would be the other one that I would say that would be next one up. But I just feel like Proctor's been, he's had a decent college career, so it kind of makes sense.
Next up, we have the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I'm going to make a statement here. I'm going to get their roster up before I make my statement, because I felt like they might address defense with this pick, and I felt like they might address cornerback. I'm just going to back up my argument here.
I mean, there's not a lot there. Byron Murphy's there, but he is a free agent, I believe.
Yeah.
Jeff Okudah is a free agent. Isaiah Rodgers is a free agent. Okay, they've got a lot of free agents at corner.
So I feel like they need corner.
Corner would make a lot of sense, yeah. I don't know where else you would go with the Vikings. The Vikings are a weird team because they actually...
they had a good roster.
Yeah, the roster actually looked really good. They just didn't... They just couldn't do anything because of the quarterback. That was the problem, wasn't it? The O-line looks solid.
When it's healthy, yeah. It was great when all of them were healthy. They lost a lot of people on the O-line during the season, but
wide receivers pretty good. Running back is an area that they do need to get a running back, but there's no one that you would have here. Yeah, I think corner makes a lot of sense. And it kind of feels like Delane would be the one to go for.
Yeah, it's an obvious pick. It's a no-brainer. I think he fits their scheme as well. I think it's perfect. So he's off the board. I'm glad it was an easy sell to you, that one.
Yeah.
Next pick is the Panthers. Now, although the Panthers, I really liked their defense this year. I said it was young and quick, one of the fastest defenses out of all of them. I'm going to go defense with this pick, and I'm going to go interior D-line for them. Reasons being that I feel like outside of Alshon Robinson, there is nothing at interior for them. Yeah. I think Derek Brown can play interior Carney, but I feel like they're okay with Wharton and I think Nick Scorton, again, another edge rusher that I was correct about. I think he had an absolutely fantastic season. So I think they need help at interior D-line. So
yeah, I quite like the idea of just constantly going on the defense actually for them. I think the offense has its limitations, but I don't think there's anything that's going to make it amazingly better at the moment. And so because of that, I think it makes sense to keep pushing on the defense, keep getting it younger, keep on improving it. yeah, I think defensive line makes sense.
Yeah, it's Caden McDonald for me here. Another Ohio State. I think is that the 5th Ohio State player we've had off the board?
Yeah. There's a lot of them, isn't there, this year from Ohio State that look good. So
I'm going to take Caden McDonald here. I think it's a no-brainer. I think that is an area of need for them. So I'm going to lock him in. The next pick we have is the Dallas Cowboys. They've got their edge rusher. They've replaced their edge. We've had that. We said that I feel like they need to now replace at cornerback. That is now a big issue for them. So I think now is the time for Avion Terrell to go, a Clemson player that is very talented. It'll be the 3rd one on the defense to come off the board in the 1st round. You think? I think offensively they're okay. Their O-line's young and been solid. They will need to address.
Well, there's no one called Tyler, so we can't have any offensive linemen. So that's that problem.
It's got to be defense. It's got to be defense. That's where they need to spend. So I think Terrell here for me is the obvious choice.
Yeah, they've really struggled at corner, haven't they, in the last few years? And
Diggs is gone now as well, isn't he?
Diggs has gone as well, and I mean, that makes a lot of sense to go for corner. And he kind, like you say, it kind of feels like once you get past Terrell, the corner market tends to drop off quite a bit. So yeah.
The Freddie's Pittsburgh Steelers are the next pick. I don't know where to start with them. It's a bit of a tough one. I feel like that. Do you think that Rodgers is coming back, or do you think he's done what the census is he's done there?
Yeah, I kind of hope for the Steelers' sake that he's not going to come back. I don't think it's going to be any sort of. I think the Mike McCarthy hire has probably been done on purpose to. I feel like as a transition, and that they now are going to give themselves a little bit of time to. I feel like they're going to become a more offensive type of franchise and change that, and McCarthy would be brilliant for that. And a few years with him being there, and then get the young guy in afterwards, I think is probably what the plan is. Hopefully, if you bring Aaron Rodgers in, then that completely goes out the window, and it doesn't make any sense at all. So, I think that would make a lot of sense. So they do need, a quarterback, unless they're going to develop Will Howard, but I don't know.
We've not seen anything of Will Howard yet.
Not really.
He was good at Ohio State. He won a national championship. He has his limitations, obviously, which is why he was picked where he was picked. But we haven't seen him yet. And do we know what's there? I mean, they might already know what's there because they didn't play him. Yeah. I don't know. They played Mason Rudolph, didn't they, when needed to? So
I think they will probably go for a free agent at quarterback. I think that probably makes most sense for them. You could almost see someone like Mac Jones going there. I think just for a little bit, but there's a lot of areas you could go down here. Wide receiver, you've got DK Metcalf and not a lot else. The O-line actually, I feel like was reasonably okay, and it probably isn't the main thing that you want to go for. The defense is old and struggled a lot, and I mean, in the nicest possible way, you could probably go anywhere on the defense, really. Apart from maybe inside D-line, I feel like
it's a tough one with defense because they have invested in it with youngsters: Keanu Benton, Derek Harmon, Jack Sawyer, Joey Porter. They're all fairly. Apparently, they've already let Patrick Queen go, so that's a bit of a Cam Hayward's obviously old. TJ Watt is still got some in the tank. But
he's still contracted for a long time as well, isn't he? So
Alex Highsmith is a talented player. I'm not sure whether they'll address the defense. They've spent a hell of a lot of money on defense. It's the highest paid defense for the last 2-3 years in a row. So I think they need to go offense with this pick. I felt like they may want. I don't think their O-line's ever been good. I think it's just very mediocre. I actually went O-line for this pick because I think everybody has put quarterback in it here. Everybody has got Ty Simpson here as the pick.
Well, it does kind of make sense because obviously it feels like it's at that point in the draft where you are going to start looking at bringing in a quarterback for like that 5th year. So I can understand the theory behind it.
I just think that Ty Simpson's Mac Jones. So
yeah, as you might as well get Mac Jones.
Might as well get Mac Jones.
Yeah.
And get O-line. You can never have too many O-linemen.
What do you think about wide receiver? Because it is literally DK Metcalf, and you have been going on pretty much all season. They need another guy.
Yeah, they do need another guy, and they've got the X alpha on the outside. So there's a lot of someone like a Casey Concepcion would fit perfectly for them because I think he is a complementary guy rather than maybe if you're looking for an alpha. So I think he would fit perfectly for them, and they definitely do need help at wide receiver. I'm not opposed to them going wide receiver either. I just feel like there's no plan really for them at quarterback yet. And until I know that, I'm not sure how much they want to spend on that, or whether they need to bring in a Brandon Ayuk as well, maybe, and spend the money there and bring in someone who already know what they're going to get with them. Wouldn't be opposed to them going Casey Concepcion here. It's not what I've got on the list at all. Where have I got him? Yeah, well, we can bring in Concepcion here.
Yeah. It's it. I assume the O-line guy was Lomu you were talking about.
Yeah, I had Lomu as the pick here.
I mean, again, I think they need it for both. So,
well, I've got O-line. You've kind of talked me into looking at wide receiver.
Yeah, I feel like they need a wide receiver, even if they. Yeah. I don't think it matters. I think you can go for either, but I think Concepcion might be the way forward, just to give him a bit more on the offense.
Love that he's just called Kevin Concepcion on this, not KC. I've gone with the wide receiver. You've talked me into it. It's where we're going. It's in Chargers. I think this is a no-brainer that they're going to go O-line or D-line.
Yeah,
and D-line's fine. So interior O-line would be the option. No, when the perfect guy is on the board for them. So they take the Penn State Alana. So I think that's where they go with it. I'm not going to go for his full name because I have not practiced it enough. I'm not into go through the O-line. I will have it pronounced perfectly when we get there, but I think he's interior-wise, he's a standout easily. Round 1 pick, best of the bunch. So we've spoke about this in previous years that we've done this, that people have passed up on some really, really talented interior people, and they've turned out to be superstars on the O-line. So this is a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, look, they've got 2 really good tackles, haven't they? They've just been injured. But the interior is where the issue was. Yeah, I think it's the right move, and it makes a lot of sense. And like you say, he's kind of like the number 1 interior O-line guy. So I think that's why it's even better for them. So yeah, I think he's a great pick for them at 22.
Next up is the Eagles. This is a rarity for them to be picking at this point as well. I feel they're usually at the back end. I feel like their defense is stacked. There's no problem on there. I think it's good. O-line has had a lot of investment on it. I mean, with Lomu now still on the board, they could go O-line. I feel like they might want to address weapons because I feel like their offense was not potent enough. I think Dallas Goedert is a free agent, isn't he? And then outside of that, I don't think they've got anybody at tight end. So with Sadiq there on the board, who is a weapon that could be really, really good for them when you think about Jalen Hurts and how he plays. Even if they used to have Dallas Goedert for another year, I think that this could be a really good piece for them. If they keep, I think Devonta Smith can be their wide receiver one if AJ Brown is traded. So I was looking at tight end for them here. I feel like they've got the luxury pick here, and they can take this guy who is stand out again above everybody else at the position.
Yeah, I think that kind of makes sense as well, because when you remember when they had Zach Ertz there, they brought in Dallas Goedert, didn't they, a couple of years before he went. So you could see Goedert coming back just on like a cheap deal, but it would kind of feel like it would make sense to do that. I'm not 100% sold on that they don't need to do anything on the defense. I do think edge rusher is needed. I feel like they lack depth at that. They brought in Jalen Phillips.
Yep. They brought in Azeez Ojulari as well, didn't they?
In a trade, yeah. So they've brought both of them in, but both, like Phillips, I believe they got to pay him again if he's going to stay.
Well, they'll have the likes of Nakobe Dean fully healthy. They had Jared Campbell.
Again, Nakobe Dean is a free agent.
Is he?
Yeah, I think so.
Feels like he's only been there 5 minutes.
2022. This is what I mean.
They've got Campbell, who was, I know he's a linebacker, but everyone was saying he's hybrid, he's an edge rusher. So they've got.
I'm just not completely sold on the fact that they don't need to do anything. I think edge is something that they might look at. I completely agree with the Sadiq pick, and I think that makes a lot of sense. But I do think that edge rusher might be where they go, and Cassius Howe is there, who I think that they might go for.
Do you not think they need help on that offense, though?
Oh, yeah. Like I say, I agree with you about the Sadiq pick. I'm just saying, I think that there's I mean, look, when it comes to tight end, once you get past Sadiq is the sort of like the unicorn of the tight end class, isn't he? So it's
there's one after. I like exactly. Max Clare, but
yeah. Well, you would. He's from Ohio State, of course.
He's Ohio State. He is good, but he's not first round good. So
no. Oh no. There isn't a first round tight end. I mean, I could probably argue there's not. Maybe at the very back of the second round, but like there's not really a second round tight end either. But yeah, so I get it, and I think you're right about the offense needing help. I think a lot of the offense's problem wasn't the players, though; it was the play calling. So I'm not. I just think that edge is something that they do need more depth at, and they do need a bit more help at. And I suppose what I'm saying is I think they might go a different way, but Sadiq makes sense.
They can go a different way, but that's who I'm picking for them. Next pick is the Cleveland Browns with their second pick. What have I got? The Cleveland Browns now need to address wide receiver, no?
I mean, I think it really depends how you want to look at it, because they've got some real tackle problems and O-line problems. And I know that we've brought one in already, but I'm just saying they got some real problems on that O-line. They could go for Caleb Loman.
Yeah, with him still being on the board, they could fair well double down on it. But you can have as many O-linemen as you want. But if Jerry Jeudy is your wide receiver
I agree.
I think you're probably struggling. I think Tillman is an outside guy, and that's all he's useful for. I don't think Judy's the answer. I think they could take a punt on Denzel Boston here. I think he would be really, really good for them. Again, gives them a chance to see what they have with Shador, which I think they've got to give themselves that option of seeing if there is anything there. And if there isn't, then next year you've got Boston and a tackle and you're bringing in the quarterback. But I feel like you've got to give it a chance. So I think they bring in a wide receiver at this pick.
Yeah. I mean, they need it. They're really lacking at wide receiver. Makes loads of sense. So got no problem with it at all. Just saying they could double down on the O-line, because that O-line is a mess.
Yeah. Well, it's sorted now. They've sorted it with the first picks. That's it. It's all fine. They'll bring some people in on free agency, won't they? Next pick is the Bears. It is the Bears. Yeah, just making
Mhm.
sure, because I think I did my my mock draft before the playoffs was finished, so my order might change a little bit. Chicago Bears. Where did I need to?
Well, the offense is sorted, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, really sorted. Like, they've got too many at some positions.
Yeah.
It's defense.
Yeah.
And I've gone edge rusher, especially with the name that's still on the board, who you brought up for the Eagles already. So we kind of know who it's going to be with this pick, I feel. Do you think I know they've got Montez Sweat there, but outside of that, they haven't really got another big name. And I know you were talking about the Lions having a 1-2 combo edge rusher, but they haven't got this at the Bears. And I feel like the Bears down the stretch, sort of their defense, everyone was talking about how good their defense was, but was it actually? So I think an edge rusher here is especially with Howell being on the board still, is the option here.
I think it's definitely D-line. I think D-line is fine. I actually think you could go anywhere on the D-line. Grady Jarrett is not getting any younger. So it's like you could look at replacing him and moving him on, and you've got Caleb Banks there. So that wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. Other than that, yeah, I think edge is what kind of makes a lot of sense. Corner, they're pretty set, aren't they? They haven't got bad. They don't look too bad, really. I mean, they've got some decent names there. Linebacker, they've got a couple of free agents at linebacker that you could argue maybe they need to go down.
Well, Howell can play both, can't he?
Yeah, true, he could do, so that would be all right. I'm just trying to see if there's any actual linebackers. You got CJ Allen, but yeah, I think you'd be better off going for Howell. I think Howell makes sense. It's Howell if you want to go inside defensive line with Banks. One of the two.
Next up, we have the Bills. Yes, we still have the Bills. The Bills, I mean, it's tough. They've got new regime there. I feel like they have to address wide receiver. I'm not sure whether they address wide receiver by a trade, maybe. Not necessarily a free agency, because we've already addressed that free agency might not be the best pop to go and find someone in. Maybe an AJ Brown might be an option for them to try and go out and get him, because I feel like that's what they need. So I have put a wide receiver in for them at this pick, but equally, I think they need help on defense. It was what let them down last year as well. So what's your thoughts? It's wide receiver for me because that is a desperate need for them.
It is a desperate need for them. Khalil Shakir is a free agent. Obviously, he'll get paid. Mm-hmm. He has got paid. No, he did get paid, didn't he?
Yeah,
I think he got paid already. Yeah. So no, but Josh Palmer's a free agent. Brandon Cook's obviously literally just come in and probably. There's nothing here.
Keon Coleman's not going to be there next year, right?
I would. Well, I mean, I don't know. I think if it had been the old regime, no. But the fact that they've got, but then I suppose it's Joe Brady, so it kind of is the old regime, isn't it? Really. It's a weird hire. See, that didn't make a lot of sense either when you think about it. It's like you got a problem with the old regime, so you put in the OC. That's a bit of an odd one.
I think they should have taken a punt on Daboll, but hey.
Yeah, it could have worked. But yeah, so Keon, I would be surprised if Keon Coleman's there. It feels like there's just nothing at wide receiver. It is the obvious bit, isn't it? Where you feel like they have to go.
You got to play to your strengths, and Josh Allen is your strength, isn't it?
But who are you taking? Chris Bell?
Yeah, I'm taking Chris Bell. Yeah, I rate Chris Bell. I don't think you're not fully on board with Chris Bell yet, are you?
I can't remember what I wrote about it.
Well, he was arguably the best wide receiver.
I don't think I've got too much of an issue with Chris Bell. Let me try and find my wide receiver. I thought he was all right. There's some others that are worse that you like. I know that.
She's better than all right.
I don't know if I'd have him as a first round pick. Chris Bell. He was the one who tore his ACL, wasn't he?
Yeah, so there might be an issue there with it, but I've gone on talent rather than injury.
Yeah, no, I thought he was all right. He kind of reminded me a little bit of DK Metcalf. That was the comp that I made for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, they need a wide receiver. They've got nothing apart from Shakir. So
yeah, and if they're bringing Shakir in, then Chris Bell would be the opposite sort of talent-wise to sort of bring in. So
yeah,
equally, I think they could use Keon Coleman as a trade piece and maybe bring in someone else. But yeah,
it does feel like a bit of a reach, but he wouldn't be there for them in the second round. So yeah, you just take the guy that you need, sort of thing.
He's gone. Next pick is the 49ers. They will need help on defense. That is the area that they will need help on. I feel.
Do you not think they need a bit of help on the O-line as well?
Their O-line was fine when it was healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to be brutally honest, you could say that about any area of the 49ers team.
No, because I feel like defense is old and brittle and needs some help. I feel like.
I mean, how much longer is Trent Williams going to go for?
Yeah, we have said that they do need to look at replacing Trent Williams, and obviously, what do you think is more important? Because Trent Williams will play next year. I don't think that'll be an issue.
I think the D-line, look, I mean, it's difficult. I don't really feel like Michael Williams did that much in his first year. I thought it was a bit disappointing. Yeah, I mean, they're probably going to go O-line, D-line. They did bring in Alfred Collins, though, last year. They brought in CJ West last year. Michael Williams was last year. It feels like an awful lot has gone on that D-line last year. O-line didn't really get anything apart from a 7th round pick. I don't know. I think given who's there, I suppose you could go Caleb Banks. It's Banks or Lomu. I feel like the D line has had quite a lot of investment put into it from last year.
With Lomu still on, I didn't have Lomu on the board at this point, so he's gone. So I think if they want to take Lomu, and because they struggled on offense when the O line wasn't fit, so I'm happy for them to go Lomu here. You've invested in Purdy now, so
yeah, I think it kind of makes sense.
In he goes. It's not. No issues with this.
Okay.
The Texans. The order's going well here from where it was supposed to. Texans is the next pick. Texans was O-line for me, so you
they need a quarterback, don't they, after the playoffs? I mean, bloody hell.
No, they don't, because halfway through the year, or at the start of the year, when they started like trading away Larry Tunsil and people like that, we were like, oh yeah, they're just throwing away the season. They're not bothered. And we said their O-line wasn't great in the first place, and they just didn't. CJ Stroud is like Jared Goff, relies on having a good offensive line to play to his skill set. If you're not going to play to your quarterback's skill set and protect him and give him time in the pocket, then he's going to not be as good as what he first was. So I think they need to invest on O-line.
Such an Ohio State apologist. It's unbelievable.
They need O-line. I've got them taking Dunker from Iowa.
Yeah, look, I think defensively, I mean, you could argue that just to keep on improving the defense isn't the worst idea in the world, but it was such a good defense. It really was so good. So you can kind of get away from it. Running back, I think, is a massive issue. I think Nick Chubb, he's just not the guy that.
What do you think is going to happen with Mixon? You think Mixon plays next year for them?
No, I think well, not for the Texans. I don't think he does
No?
anyway. I think if he plays, he moves on. Nick Chubb, he's just not the guy after the injury, I'm afraid. Agumbawale isn't anything much. I think it's Woody Marks. You've got Jawar Jordan, who I think will hang around, but that's about it. They need to bring in someone, but there's no one to bring in at the moment. Tight end, I think they're fine at tight end. I think that's not a problem. Wide receiver, I think they're very good. They've got plenty of talent at wide receiver. So it is the O-line. And I think you say Dunker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that he's the next one that makes a lot of sense. It's worth going for.
Can't go wrong with a Iowa O-lineman. They're always good on O-line.
They are. And, you know, why not? I think a lot of people, it's funny, I feel like a lot of people would think that it's a real a real reach for him, but I do feel like he's I think he's probably got first round talent in him, so yeah, I think he's the way forward.
Next up is the LA Rams. We've already addressed one area. The other area was cornerback. So I'm looking at cornerback here for them as well. And you could take either of the two names that are on that board of Hood or Cisse. And I think Cisse is the better talent. So that's where I'm going with it. It's definitely cornerback here, right? You were very much like, are you sure? Is it not Ty Simpson here? But
or a quarterback that you like. You know, I mean, we've spoken about this, haven't we, about Nussmeier, and it does feel like they're kind of similar in about the same sort of, worth when it comes to the draft. So if they do want to go for a quarterback, it does kind of make sense. I think this is the obvious time to take it at the back of the first round. So, you know, not against the corner. I will just keep on saying, I just don't think they rate drafting corners highly.
Yeah, I think at this point, maybe when we're closer to the draft and I get a feel for it, I might be locking in quarterback here, and it might be Nussmeier that I go here. I think, his dad was a quarterback. He's from a football family. He's a very smart, intelligent guy, a bit of a gunslinger, needs some coaching, very, very talented guy. So I think that fits for them and they can sit for a year. So I think Nussmeier would be the guy for me there. But for this intents purposes, I'm going with sheer need and player. So I'm putting Cisse in for them for now. Next pick is the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos, I had interior D-line for them. I felt like that might be a bit of a need. You're looking a bit confused at me saying that. Are you,
I was looking at their depth chart. I wasn't sure what they had. That's all. The defense has been pretty good this year, and they've done well. But Malcolm Roach is a free agent, and so is DJ Jones, actually. So, yeah, interior defensive line kind of makes a lot of sense for them. If they don't bring J.K. Dobbins back, I think running back is another area, but we wouldn't go for it here.
They got RJ Harvey.
Really good. But I think you need a couple. I don't feel
you're not going to go
McLaughlin's
for it here,
nothing. Right? No, I think, like I say, you wouldn't go for anything here. I feel on the offense that they are not too bad. I think they're in
Banks for me.
Look, they're in a decent spot, aren't they? That's how come they got as far as they had, and arguably, had Bo Nix not got injured, probably would have been in the Super Bowl. So we're talking about a pretty good team here. So yeah, inside defensive line, yes, Caleb Banks is still here. Yeah, take him.
Yes, agreed pick. It's the New England Patriots at the next pick. I felt like they needed to get more pressure on the quarterback. Now, Mesidor is there,
Yeah.
who's in my top 10. I'm trying the other bloke that I like, Thomas as well, but then it's a long way down to 82 for the other guy that I like as talent. But Mesidor is an absolute like beast. He causes issues left, right, and centre. So I think back end of the first has got Mesidor written all over it. You're nodding in agreement. I like
absolutely.
I like Dennis Sutton.
I was trying to work out who 82 was, but then I remembered I'm on PFF and you're on something else, so that doesn't work.
It's denied Dennis Sutton. I really like him. I think he's
okay. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to go for Mesidor. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it makes sense. They do need to get more pressure on quarterbacks. So that does make a lot more sense. So, yeah. And then now the Super Bowl winners. This is going to look really bad as this is going out after the Super Bowl has happened. But the Super Bowl winners, according to this,
I haven't got the Seahawks taking an edge rusher, so that's not a problem. I have got them taking a cornerback.
Corner. Let's have a look. Difficult, really. Haven't got many holes. They're just about to win the Super Bowl, so probably.
Wasn't there talks of?
They're probably a pretty good team.
Isn't there one of the cornerbacks potentially going to need to be paid or go? Or although
Reek Woolen, yes,
money anyway, so.
Woolen is a free agent. Yeah, Reek Woolen is going to need paying or going, and obviously, actually, that's Devon Witherspoon's a 5-year one, isn't he? So that won't be next year. But yeah, there is a bit of need there in the secondary. So
I was taking Colton Hood at this point.
Yeah, okay. You not fancy Keith Abney?
Nope.
Do you want to maybe be slightly more specific than just nope?
I'm going based on the people that have higher ranked on my quarterback list. I have a first round talent on Hood. I think he's very, very talented. He also, the website we used agrees with me as well. I haven't just plucked it out of nowhere.
Well, I don't know. You never know with you. So,
So Hood is the guy for me. Yeah,
I think corner makes sense. It's fair enough. Yeah. Whoever you like.
He's in. It's done. The draft is complete. We will put that out. I do like to have a little look at who we've missed and who was still there. I think there was still one of my. I think Thomas at edge was still there. So you got some more edge rushers.
So some of the guys that was still CJ Allen is ranked as a player roughly before a first round pick. R. Mason Thomas was there. I don't feel like there's any that are like
and Ty Simpson everyone's got in round one, but
yeah, I think the only thing that we probably haven't done is the quarterback. For towards the end. I think there's a lot of people are putting a quarterback towards the end. I feel like what we've done, that a lot of the guys that I'm looking at now, they are second round picks. I mean, I like some of the guys, but I wouldn't have them as first round picks. So I think we've done all right there. It's not too bad.
I think it's a really good starting base. We've got good ranks on players, and we can see how much this fluctuates and changes as we get past the combine and things like this, and see who we miss, because there'll be small school guys that crop up and shoot up boards, and some of these guys will drop down boards, and when we find out they've got some off-field issues and things like that. So it's a good starting base. We'll get that out. We'll get it up online, let you have a quick look through it and scrutinize it, and mock our mock, which we will be back with mock the mock. So someone can do mine if they wish. And then, as we said, we'll have our top 10s out very soon. So, keep it with the franchise tag, and see you again very soon.